Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Sweden, and we're also going to stick to my home county of Skåne here in the very south of the country. So we're going to return to a brewery that I know very well. These guys were one of the first breweries that I encountered when I moved over here to Sweden back in 2015, and really they made their name when it came to the kind of fruit forward and hazy IPAs, but more recently they've been doing a lot of kind of big fruity Berliner Weisses, some pastry stouts, and yeah, they've been diversifying quite a lot in terms of the different styles that they've been producing. But for this one, we are going to return to that original style that I first kind of grew fond of this brewery over. So I'm quite curious to see how this one turns out. So for this review, we are going to return to Helsingborg in the northwest corner of Skåne, and we're having a look at yet another beer from Brewski Mikrobryggeri. And I have to say, these guys have got a little bit of an obsession over nipples at the moment. So this particular beer is called the No Nipple IPA. It comes in at 4.7% ABV, and they're describing this one as a session IPA. So this is the first session IPA that I've had from these guys. The only other beer that I have had from them that might be comparable would be the Little Big Hoppy, which was years ago. That must have been 2016 or something like that, and that one was a pale ale. But in honesty, when I was thinking about this, you don't actually get all that many pale ales or session IPAs in Sweden, to be honest. And I think maybe it's something to do with the tax bans and stuff like this. I'm really not sure about that, but I haven't reviewed too many pale ales or session IPAs on the channel, I guess mainly because there just isn't that many of them. But two of the best session IPAs that I've found in Sweden already that I'd recommend for you would be the Nipple Ipa from Brewery Brewery, also here in Skåne in the south of the country, and also at the Moment of Clarity, or is it Instant of Clarity, I forget, but whichever one that was, the GBG Beer Week beer for 2017, I want to say, from Bibliotek up in Gothenburg. That is a very nice one as well. But yeah, as I say, not too many of those, so you know guys, do give me some recommendations for session IPAs in the video in the comments section below. I'd love to know that, because as I say, this is just a sort of sub-style, if you like, that I have not covered too much. So yeah, curious to see what Brewski have for us with this one, mainly because I've not reviewed too many of this particular sub-style, but I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one, and it is always nice to return to this brewery. This is one of 3 Brewski reviews that you're going to see this month. You will see me review the Double Nipple from these guys later on, which is a double IPA, and then the last beer that I reviewed from them as well was the Triple Nipple, a triple IPA, and there is another one that will be really interesting because it's the first of the style that I've had from this brewery actually, and this beer incidentally was released on the 1st of October 2020 as part of the local Småskaligt assortment in Systembolaget for the month. So yeah, let's see how we go on with this one then, guys. So as always with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Brewski Mikrobryggeri before, and you will no doubt see more added to that list even beyond this month. There's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, province, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is massively appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Brewski Mikrobryggeri then, on to my brewery notes. So as I've told you before, Brewski Mikrobryggeri were founded back in 2014, and they're based in Helsingborg in the northwest corner of Skåne here in the south of Sweden. So the founders of this company are Marcus Hjalmarsson, Johan Britsen, Alfred Olsson and Robin Skoglund, and all of these guys were really inspired to get into beer, having tried the American West Coast craft beers, and you know, they did a little bit of home brewing, and then eventually they decided to kind of go for it and start up their own company. But Marcus was originally associated with the High Nose brand of beer that was brewed at Höganäs Brewery, and some of those beers are still brewed there, and I think the original Brewski beers were brewed up there as well, but they're all now brewed at their own brewery in Helsingborg, which you'll find in the train yard just to the south of the main central station. And from what I understand, this brewery has the capacity to produce around 100,000 litres of beer per month. In 2016 though, They started their own beer festival, which is called Brewski. I first went there in 2017, and in the first year they started off with about 40 different brewers, and it's expanded year on year. I think last year in 2019 there was about 80 or so brewers there, maybe 100, I'm not quite sure. But this year in 2020 it was cancelled because of the whole COVID-19 situation, which was a bit disappointing because usually I go there every year. But they also used to open up their brewery once a month as a bar, which was called Brewski, but they now have their own bar in Helsingborg, which goes by the same name, and this opened back in 2018. And I think, yeah, very recently they had their 2-year birthday party actually, which was very nice. But they also now brew some beer over in America at Tampa Bay Brewing Company in Florida, and this means that they can distribute their IPAs throughout the States. And I think they have been having quite a bit of success with that actually, which is pretty cool. But at the moment they're also looking to open up a bar in Oslo, and Marcus also has a distribution company up there called Brewski, which imports the Swedish beers into Norway. And I think at the moment he is supplying mainly pubs and restaurants and things, but I think they are working with Vinmonopolet as well. So probably if you're watching in Norway, you will see more and more of the Brewski beers appearing up there over the next little while. But these guys do distribute fairly widely across Europe these days. I know that you can get them down in Greece and in Slovenia, I think in Spain and Portugal and stuff like this as well. So the Brewski beers are fairly easy to find if you know a good beer shop, and it's probably fair to say that these guys are maybe the best known Skånsk brewery actually. So yeah, interesting. Let me know your opinions on that in the video description below, but I think it's probably fair to say these guys are the best known Skånsk brewery at the moment. But over 2019 these guys produced around 500,000 litres of beer, 500,000 litres, and as of October 2020, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced around 300 different kinds of beer actually. So yeah, that's all I can really tell you about Brewski Mikrobryggeri for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can of course check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn more about all the different beers that these guys have produced. So yeah, I would recommend as well that you go and check out Brewski if you find yourself in Helsingborg. It's a really nice restaurant. You'll get a few Brewski beers there that you wouldn't find anywhere else. And you get some really nice ramen there. It's an American chef, so it's not authentic Japanese ramen, but it does taste pretty damn good in my opinion. And of course, if you've watched the channel, you will know that due to family connections, I do have quite a bit of experience with Japanese ramen. So yeah, do go and check it out if you get the chance. But yeah, let's have a look at this beer then and see how we get on. So yeah, as you can see, this one, the no nipple. Interesting artwork on the beer, I have to say. But yeah, there you can see a few nipple rings that have obviously fallen out. So I wonder if there will be a quadruple nipple or something as well, because like I see, there's 4. There's no nipple on this, but yeah, there's 4 rings that have kind of fallen out with this one. So I don't know. As I say, Brewski have this obsession with nipples at the moment, but as I told you earlier, this one comes in at 4.7% IPA, and it is a session IPA. I think I paid maybe about 35 Swedish kroners for this one, but yeah, it should hopefully be a really nice beer. And this must be review number 15 or 20 or so that I've done from Brewski Mikrobryggeri before. But there you can see on the side, there is the kind of information part of the beer. You can see the little Brewski man down there, and yeah, it should hopefully be a very nice beer, this one. So let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting of this one then. It did get a wee bit excited, but seems to be okay. Let's get it out and into the glass then. Curious to see what this one has in store for us. Oh, there we go. I'm getting quite a bit of carbonation sticking to the side of this glass, but I just washed it and rinsed it out before doing this review. That's a bit strange. But yeah. So, as you can see with this beer, this one's poured a lovely kind of bright goldeny coloured yellow one. I would, we always compare these kind of hazy IPAs to fruit juices and stuff. I would compare this one to a little bit of a kind of pineapple juice, to be honest with you. You can see that there was about a quarter finger of head on this one, quite a bumpy head to be honest with you, and that's faded away just to be a very kind of thin foamy layer. There's 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass there, a few little ones going up towards the bottom of the head, which has just faded away to be a little bit of a kind of like bubbly ring around the side of the glass there. But yeah, a little bit of haze to this one, which is kind of what you expect from a Brewski IPA. If we shine the light through this beer, yeah, I think this one does come across, in terms of its colour, akin to a kind of pineapple sort of mango juice, to be honest with you. But yeah, it certainly looks like a very like a really quite nice beer. So yeah, as I say, not too much surprising, or nothing really surprising about this one in terms of its appearance if you know this brewery and you know the style of beer. So yeah, let's have a closer look at the aroma of this one then and just see how we get on. Yeah, so the malty base on this one is a little bit different. I mean, straight away with this one you can smell that it is quite, I think the oats come out of this one quite a lot actually, and you can smell a lot of the pale malt in this. The malt base comes across as really kind of white, and it really comes across quite a bit like white bready, to be honest with you. There is a wee bit of wheaty bitiness to this one, a few little bit of oaty characters in there, maybe just a little tiny touch of that kind of Werther's Original sort of butter candy thing to it as well. But otherwise there's not too much to report on that. When it is a session IPA though, usually these beers tend to lean towards the crisper white bready end of the spectrum, to be honest with you. So yeah, that's definitely a point to take away from this beer actually. I would say that about this one. Yeah, I do like how this one, how the aroma of that comes out. The malt base, it smells a bit unusual when you first take it in, but once your nose adjusts to it, it does, you know, it really does become a little bit more, it really does become a little bit more kind of welcoming and stuff like that. I'd say it sweetens up and kind of smoothens out a little bit. So yeah, I do like the way the malt base comes out in this one. Give it a chance when you smell it actually. But yeah, other than that, there's not too much to report on the aroma of the malt base in this one. On the hoppy side of things then, there is a wee touch of earthiness to this one, but this one strikes me as a big floral aromatic beer rather than anything else. Yeah, nice big kind of floral aromatic notes out of this one. Not spicy though. I would stick with floral and aromatic for this one. Not resinous either. Just big and big and floral. At the front of the nose, you do get a little bit of a kind of grassy quality coming out of the beer, which is nice. And then on the fruity side of things, it's got a really interesting fruity character to it. Actually, it's quite. I do find this one to be. It's very soft in its notes. I would say, yeah, quite papaya-like. You know, a good bit of pineapple, maybe apricot-y as well, to be honest with you. It's the really soft tropical notes that you get out of this one. Could it be a bit of Idaho 7 that's in this? Or something else? You know, it's not even got really any orangey character to it or anything. It is most definitely pineapple, apricot, you know, pineapple, apricots, and what would you say? Yeah, pineapple, apricots, and a little bit of papaya or something that's coming out of this. There's maybe a little bit of a lemony, zesty character at the front of the nose, but other than that, it's a very straight shooting session IPA for me. So I like how this one goes together. I have to say, thumbs up to Brewski Mikrobryggeri for this one. I think this is a really pretty damn solid smelling session IPA. It smells good, so hopefully it's as good as Neblina or the Moment of Clarity or Instant of Clarity. I really forget the exact name of that beer, but yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and see how we go on. Take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma, but we'll taste this one now. This is the No Nipple IPA, a session IPA at 4.7% ABV from Brewski Mikrobryggeri in Helsingborg here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Oh yeah, no, that is pretty good. I will say that is a really nicely done session IPA. Yeah, it really does. It's a more. I find this one a bit more kind of smooth and malty, to be honest with you. I think the Neblina that I remember from Rainbow was a little bit more kind of hoppy and stuff than this, but this one I think is really nicely balanced. So yeah. Yeah. That's really nicely done. And it's interesting this, and I said the same with the Neblina. I actually like this better than some of the regular IPAs that I've had from Brewski. Well, recently, I mean, as I say, my favourite IPA that I've ever had from these guys was the Conan Double IPA, but that's disappeared. They haven't done that in a long time. This one I think really is quite good, and it is. I would certainly say this is better than some of the other beers that I've had from Brewski in the IPA category over the last little while. So it's interesting that's a few breweries that I'm starting to notice that with actually. So yeah, maybe I need to think about that a little bit. As I say, give me some session IPA recommendations in the in the video description, in the video comment section below. I keep saying that. Brain's not working. But yeah, this is pretty damn solid actually. So let's try and break this one down then. Straight away with this beer, you're going to get a nice little bit of the pale malty quality. That just blankets the middle of your tongue. For me, the oats and the wheat are really nicely done in this. If you go towards the back third of your palate, the white bready notes that you have in the beer, they come across as, they still stay quite smooth in fairness, but there is just a little bit more bitiness to them, especially at the very back of the palate. But yeah, the wheaty side of the beer has a little bit more of a bitiness to it, but as you move into the middle third of your palate, it definitely has some nice kind of oaty creaminess to it as well actually. So I really like how that goes together in terms of this beer. So it gets a thumbs up from me in that regard actually. Yeah, this with the malt base in this one is really quite nicely done. The sort of slightly butter candy note that I was picking up in this one, that doesn't really come out in the flavour of this one incidentally. So yeah, the back third of your tongue is definitely a bit more wheaty, but then as you move further forward in the middle third of your palate, it's got a nice kind of oaty creamy layer, and that sits on top of the kind of pale malty note to this beer. So yeah, middle third of your palate's very smooth and slightly creamy and oaty, but then yeah, the back third of your palate is definitely more it's distinctly more wheaty and slightly bitey, if that makes sense. So on the back third of your tongue, you will notice that it does get, there is a wee touch of graininess comes out of that a little bit, but as you move out to the sides, that's where you're going to start to get the hoppy characters there. But yeah, the malty base in this, as I say, I really like the level of smoothness that this one has. But yeah, back corners of your palate, if we move on to the hoppy side of the beer, teeny little bit of earthiness there, but I think as we move further forward, this one really develops a big kind of floral aromatic quality. There's a wee touch of spiciness to it, which is quite nice, and that kind of pushes all the way forward to the front corners of the palate, which I like. But yeah, this beer, this one, I really like this. I'm just surprised that I'm having another session IPA that I like better than a number of the IPAs that I've had from this brewery. It's happening more and more often. What's going wrong with the world, I have to say. But yeah, it's really interesting that this is the second brewery that I'm very familiar with where this has happened. So yeah, this is just really very, very nicely done. Around the front curve of the palate, you've got a little bit of a lighter grassy note, and as I say, the big this one, to be honest, as the flavour develops, I'd maybe want to retract my statement about this beer being kind of spicy. It really is just more kind of floral and aromatic, and then it's a bit lighter and grassy around the front curve of the tongue. So yeah, I do like how that goes together with this beer. The smoothness that you get out of this one is very, very nice, and that's reflected in the fruity side of the beer as well. So let's focus on that now. As I always tell you, the fruity side of the beer comes out in that front third of your tongue. You can feel that little oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters from the hops just roll their way out of the beer. And yeah, it is quite similar to the aroma in terms of the fruits. If you go towards the back of that front third of your tongue, there's maybe a wee bit of a slightly stronger lemony, citrusy character to this one, which is quite nice. But then as you move further forward from it, you get a little bit, you do get a wee touch of, you do get a little bit of mango, I think, but then it really leans towards that apricot-y, that kind of papaya type quality there. Yeah, there's maybe a wee touch of pineapple to this one. As you move further forward, I think it does get a little touch more pineapple-y, and then it's a little bit lemony and zesty around the kind of front edge of the tongue there. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a wee bit of Centennial in this one, but I would want to say that this is the main hop that they've used in this is either, I don't think it's Citra, because I think Citra would have a little bit more kind of pungency to it than this. I want to say that it's maybe Idaho 7. Or I'm trying to think what else could it be. I don't think it's Galaxy. I don't know if they would use Galaxy in a session IPA, to be honest with you, because it's quite an expensive hop actually. They'd probably be more likely to use that in one of their regular IPAs. But yeah, this one, it really has something similar to that. Could it be a bit of Victoria's Secret? Could be something like that. Or it could be, you know, the other thing it could be Simcoe, and they've used Simcoe as an early addition hop as well, because it can give you that big, almost, it can give you a hell of an aromaticity and almost a little bit of spiciness in the on the sides of your tongue if it's if it's used as an early addition hop. So that's definitely something to think about with this beer. So yeah, definitely piquing my curiosity, this one, I have to say. So yeah, I do like how this is going together, this one. So thumbs up to Brewski for this beer. They pulled off a really nice session IPA here. So I think this would be a good one to keep as a core range. Actually, I think this is probably one of my favourite IPAs that I've had from them, to be honest. So yeah, thumbs up to Brewski for this one. Yeah, that is really really solid. Again, very smooth and creamy session IPA in my opinion. It's not so creamy in the mouthfeel, it's the oaty creaminess. It's really an oaty leaning session IPA. Nice soft tropical fruits and just a good little bit of aromaticity. I think that's a good way to kind of sum this one up, to be honest with you. But in terms of the mouthfeel, I would describe this one as at the bottom end of mid-bodied. The carbonation is very smooth. For me, it's got a little bit of a slick mouthfeel to it, a little bit of wetness in there. In terms of IBUs, what would we say about this? I think this is about a 25-ish IBU beer. It's not too bitter, this one, to be honest with you. You could argue that it's 25 to 30 IBUs seems about right for it. I definitely wouldn't argue with that. And yeah, as I say, you've got some really nice nice kind of smooth, slightly creamy malt base to this one, and then you've got some light, juicy, fruity characters as well. So yeah, I really like how this one goes together. It gets a thumbs up from me. I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink this again. So if you are looking for something very sessionable, yeah, the No Nipple IPA is definitely a good one to go for. So I would recommend to Brewski that they consider making this a kind of regular, if you like. But I still need to try the Scarecrow. Actually, I've got a feeling that the Scarecrows might be either a pale ale or a session IPA, come to think of it. So yeah, I need to look into that beer, because that's one that I think is part of the regular range at Systembolaget, but I've just never reviewed it. So yeah, I'll see if I can get a hold of one of those. But yeah, this one I really enjoyed, so thumbs up to Brewski in that sense. I think that's all we really need to say about the flavour profile of this. It is very nicely done. So yeah, this one definitely matched the Neblina and the moment of the instant of clarity, whatever the name of that one actually is, from Beerbibliothek, the GBG Beer Week Beer 2017. This one definitely matches those. So yeah, this has made me think a little bit more about session IPAs and pale ales, so we will see about trying to review a few more of those for you here on the channel over the next little while. But let's leave it at that for this one. So once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comments section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Brewski Mikrobryggeri, and we will no doubt return to these guys beyond this month. You will see 2 more beers from these guys appearing at some point fairly soon on the channel, but they're always releasing new stuff, and I probably will be reviewing more of it for you here on the channel. But yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will catch you guys very soon. This one was the No Nipple IPA, a session IPA coming in at 4.7% ABV from Brewski Mikrobryggeri in Helsingborg in Skåne here in the south of Sweden. So yeah, Slanja, Skål, catch you guys very soon. Make sure you check out Brewski and have a go at No Nipple if you want a lovely, kind of soft, oaty, sessionable IPA. Cheers.